what that does is it helps us puts us in the right state of mind. I want to share with you the redux of our brand story, and here it is. 5 minutes, bear with me. So, what does IX mean to me? As you all know, I work here in Silicon Valley at Google for, on a variety of different products. And one thing that we often say is 10x or moonshots. And what that usually means is to set these really big goals. And your manager might, always challenge you to set your goals 10 times higher, because if you want to shoot for the moon, you need to aim for the stars. But especially right now, as we play games and we engage on online and digital, I began to wonder, is bigger necessarily better? All the ways we measure things, from valuation to even social validation, like, do we have more credibility or likability because we have more followers, more trophies? And I thought, the gaming community especially, we don't need to keep trying to make these numbers go up higher and higher. It's already bad enough that the developers are making it addictive, and the machines are making it so that the networks are getting bigger and bigger. If you know anybody that has 1 million followers or sold their first 1 million products, they'll tell you it's not enough. You think it will, but once you get there, it's not enough. Whether it's 10x, 100x, it's never enough. When we first started, B Miracle was here in the stream earlier. What IX originally stood for, it was a combination, right? Its original meaning was, part of the club that I had acquired, Nine Circles, the Roman numeral IX. They called it Nine, but we rebranded it to IX as a tribute to the original founder, Moonlight, as well as the I in inclusion and the X meaning the diversity of people, which was our original organization name, Inclusion Esports. As the brand became bigger and people started to understand, there were memes about IX. And so streamers would say, that's not very inclusive, or that's not very IX, in response to the toxicity, but nobody really knew what inclusion meant. But everybody had IX in their name. In fact, it's still everywhere, and it's kind of like, it's crazy what you can do. But IX suddenly began to mean something that was not so great. It was actually something bad. I went from never even knowing what Twitch was to like trying to stream. I went from not knowing anything about esports to all of a sudden being approached by all these orgs and sponsors, and that I think had a negative effect on me. I started to think sometimes without even thinking, I'm too cool to talk to you effect, right? And that happened to a lot of people. And what happened was eventually a lot of the old players in our club who were continued to, treat each other the way they had always done. And what IX began to mean was toxicity, which is ironic because that was exactly what we were trying to combat. And as we grew, we didn't make a good culture. We said over and over again, time and time again, that culture, what is culture, right? It's not like music or like the dancing and the arts, and in a way it is, but because culture is the color of humanity. It is what people do because that's them, not because somebody's telling you what to do. It is the expression of your values. It's what you do when nobody's watching. And I had even typed that out, but when nobody was watching, we were not being good. We were being so toxic. And we announced the chapter 1 strategy of IX a couple months ago. And we were like, all gonna go into content and do this and that. And we hired new staff and this. But we hadn't taken care of the things that were important. So literally a day after the announcement, we made a drastic pivot. It was a big announcement, by the way. Like I got like over, I think that stream pulled in like almost $1,500. That one stream for like 30 minutes. But we changed our strategy like in a heartbeat. There were people that kept us accountable, like Ark and Bobby, David 88 Keys, and we just put everything on hold because we ooped and we had to recoup. We had to go back to our values. With any business, if you want to create a strategy, before you create strategy, you have to understand what is the mission and what are the values that drive that mission. So we created a code of conducts to take accountability. And as the leader of IX, I did the same with my own actions. I wrote it down. We are respectful. We are real. We are relentless. If you type in !, this is IX, you can see an explanation in a presentation deck that I shared. And our values finally brought us back into perspective. We were actually taking actions to help us grow in the right way. When we first started IX, nobody knew who I was, or they still call it IX circles or 9 circles. But they asked, like, what's your plan? Like, how do you know you're going to succeed? Like, do you want to win the world finals or this or that? And we just, we dabbled in everything because we just wanted to learn as much as possible. Again, being relentless means knowing that you're going to fall and get back up again. But the most important thing that we learned, more than the esports, more than how to play a brawler, more than how to create videos or music, more than that, the most important thing that we learned was about each other. Whether you are a boomer or a kid, whether you are Asian American like me, a developer, a pro, 30s, 20s, Buttercup, who is, a grandmother. Congratulations, by the way. She may even be holding her grandchild right now in her arms as she listens. And as I made fun of B-Miracle earlier, some even from the North Pole. But learning about each other was amazing. I mean, whether it was through the voice chats and like yelling at each other for throwing and using new words like awk and sus, falling asleep during matchmaking or falling asleep listening to a streamer, or just going to your quick breaks at work. All those moments, whether we cried or laughed, or whether we broke each other down, or whether we lifted each other up, we were living. We were living. We were living. And that was different. We weren't just judging each other based on the number of trophies we had or the way that we played in the game. We knew that we were people. So in a sense, you might say that the most important thing that we learned was we didn't know our own mission until then. And that's why accountability partners are so incredible, because they keep you in check. Be inclusive, grow awareness. I mean, it was just another mission statement. And if you've heard or read the story of the Little Prince and the Fox, you probably know that the fox tells the prince, you are a boy like 100,000 other boys. We must know each other so that you can be unique in all the world and special. The little fox, in the one I carry, the one that's in our brand, and in my emote, which I'll put in our chat right now, we lovingly call her Megan Fox. What makes our mission unique in all the world, and not like 100,000 other missions? So you know what? We took some time and thought about it. And on a plane ride, I believe it was from Minnesota, I began to write this document that you see here, to start writing down and coming back to our mission. We had to step away from the 10x, and we had to step back into our own selves. In order to grow others, we had to first grow ourselves. Growth, listen carefully here, this is the most important part. Growth starts within us. It is not always a number, whether it's 10, 100, or Google. And it's what we cannot see that is essential. It is what's within us that allows us to lift others. We grow those people around us and make those relationships, and it takes time, the real ties, but those are the ones that matter. Growing ourselves so we can grow others? Hey, you know what? That kind of sounds like a mission, doesn't it? Yeah, I got excited here. I was like, oh, we're at a mission. We got one. Let's go back to the original question. What does IX mean to you? I didn't answer it whenever people asked me. It was almost a meme. Bobby was going on other people's streams and asking that, and, Some just chatting variety streamers were like, it means 17. No, it means 9. There were memes around it. Redux, reimagination. Here we go. Let me start with our vision. We imagine a world where everybody can experience happiness and also bring that joy to others. Imagine that. It's the ability to experience it. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are. You have every right to be happy just as much as the next person, and you should also be able to bring that happiness to others. The mission then, how is IX Gaming going to achieve that vision? Here's how we're going to do it. We are going to create experiences for this gaming community that enable that to grow you to lift others. So we did a bunch of IX lives at 6 different cities. We're going to hit up New York this weekend. We're going to go to Toronto for the big one in April. Each of those workshops is about connecting people and then bringing the best of our talents and our skills to teach the members of our community things like communication, personality types, teamwork, leadership skills, career mentoring, mental health awareness. I mean, just all these things that the gaming community needs in order for us to be empowered so that we don't get addicted to a game, or that we don't get in those modes where we're just grinding and hating each other. Because once we know that about ourselves and can grow ourselves, then we can help lift others. So this is our new brand story. While the world obsesses around 10x growth or the numbers, we chose instead to grow as people. We are more than the dollars. We are more than the wins. We are more than the followers, more than the subscriptions, more than the trophies. What does IX stand for? The I stands for you, and the X is experience. Welcome to IX. Let's grow together.